Hey guys, I'm Glitter Valkyrie, and today we're going to pull for Legendary Alear. I expected her to get a legendary form at some point, but I did not expect that it would be this soon, but I love Alear, so I'm really excited to pull today. So with all that said, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I think the best thing for us to do today is to try to snipe green as best we can, and I feel like that's so hard to do when it's green because they're just few in number and they always disappear when you're looking for them, but we are just going to do our best because really everything that I want on this banner is in green, with the exception of a couple of units here and there. So, well, red is a good color too, but mostly I do want to try and stick to greens. Of course, Alear is the character that I want the most on the banner. I was so excited to see her. And she is a protagonist that's probably one of my favorites because she came from being someone who I was not excited to use to one of my favorites in the game. I had super low expectations going into Engage because I didn't like her design, but when I met her, I found her to be so lovable and well written, and I loved her relationship with her mom and with so many other characters. And she instantly became one of my favorites. And so if we get to 40 with nothing, of course we're going to take her. But I'd also love to get a couple of copies of Ninian today. She is another one of my favorites, and I use the legendary form all the time, and I am merging her up, so I would love to get a few copies. And lastly, on the banner, we have Robin in green, and that's actually a character that I do not have. I don't have a ton of a connection to Robin, but he is very, very strong and also very annoying to fight. So I wouldn't be mad if I got a copy of him. And then, of course, when we don't have our greens, I think red is the next best choice. But other than that, I really don't know what to do. So hopefully we see a few more greens. And so with all that said, I think that we can go ahead and answer viewer questions. And as always, if I don't get to yours, I'm really sorry, and I'll try to do it in a future one. And if you think of a question you want to ask me, just leave it in the comments with #question, and I'll be sure to put your question on my list. And so our first question today comes from Damon Crown, and they ask, which lords are your favorites and least favorites and why? And do you have any Fire Emblem characters that you have a problem pronouncing their names, or you have an assigned random nickname? Okay, so as for the question, oh wow, that is Garrick. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've pulled so many of him recently, so that's great. Okay, let's check IVs. And he is plus HP minus res. I will take it. I'm happy with that. And getting back to this very lucky question, I was saying that as for my favorite and least favorite lords, I feel like this is kind of a difficult question to answer now because in the most recent games, it's really hard to tell who's a lord and who isn't. Like with Engage, would we just say that it's Alear, or would you count Diamant and Ivy, in which case I would say them? So I'm really not 100% sure the best way to answer, but if we're talking about the more clear-cut older games, some of my favorites are Ephraim, definitely my favorite twin. I love his design, I love his personality, his relationship with Larashel, he is one of my favorites. I would definitely choose Hector from FE7 because I feel like he has the most fun personality of the three, definitely stands out, and I loved using him in the game. And then as for some other ones, of course, we have Chrom and Lucina, although I feel like Robin could maybe be considered a lord, I don't know. But definitely Chrom and Lucina are my favorites from that game. And then I love Sigurd, I love Celica, there are just so many. There are so many that I love. And as for the ones that I don't like, it's not, oh wow. You know what? He is new, so I am happy. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And he is plus res minus defense. I will take that. And we will just keep going with this very, very lucky question. And I was saying that for my least favorite lords, there are none that I truly hate. And I feel like a lot of my opinion has been influenced by Faye, and that I'm just tired of seeing some of these characters. And so if I had to pick my least favorites, probably Erica, just because I feel like she gets a lot more opportunity than Ephraim and a lot more representation, even though I like him a lot more. So I would say her, and probably Lynn, just because she's always here in one form or another, and I'm just a little bit tired of it. So probably those two are my least favorites, but I don't hate them, I promise. And then as for your other question about names that I have trouble with, really any of the Norse names I really, really struggle with. And like Aira's son, Skahak? I'm pretty sure I said that wrong, but I really have trouble with that one too. And then as for like any nicknames that I have, I feel like the biggest one is Crunchy Edelgard. Like the fallen Edelgard form is Crunchy to me. So definitely her. And then anytime it's a fallen unit, I usually call them like the purple form, like Purple Ike, Purple Berkut, and that's how I differentiate them. But thank you so much for that very, very lucky question. So let's back out and we can go ahead and answer our next one. And this was actually asked by 2 different people, and these questions are a little bit related. So this comes from Nats8834. And they ask, have you started playing through the Fontaine Archon quest? And if you have, what do you think about Nouvelette? And then Amora Oblige asked, what are my thoughts on Nouvelette and Riothsley? So yes, a little bit related. So as for the Archon quest, I have finished it and I was blown away. I was so pleasantly surprised with it. I don't know why I was surprised because really all the Archon quests are good, but I don't know. I went into this with a little bit of reservation because I didn't know what the Archon would be like, but it was just so much fun to play. I don't know what it was, but it had a little bit of a Danganronpa feel to me, and I loved the little bit of a mystery, and I loved the characters, so it was super, super fun. So yes, I finished it, and after meeting Nouvelette, I have to get him. Oh my gosh. I went into it kind of like plus or minus on whether or not I would pull him because he had a neat design, but I wasn't sure. But then I met him and I heard his voice and they did such a great job with him and he is so cool. And so now I have to get him. And so it's going to be a very expensive patch next patch because he is coming with Riothsley and I plan on getting him too. And really, Riothsley and Navia were the ones where when I first saw the entire cast, they were my favorites. And so I have to get all of them. And so hopefully the gems that I have will get me those characters. But thank you for those great questions. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Free Flying Butterfly. And they ask, with all the Fire Emblem games set in a very distant past, how would you feel about a Fire Emblem game set in a sci-fi sort of future? Honestly, I wouldn't love it all that much. I really like Fire Emblem because it's a little bit more old-timey and it's got like swords and magic and it's kind of removed from reality. And I feel like with sci-fi, even though it's like not reality, it's a little bit closer to like day-to-day stuff and you get rid of that fantasy element, and that's what I like in a lot of games. So I don't think that I would like to see it. And with that being said, I still love games like Xenoblade and I love Star Rail, and that's a little bit more sci-fi, but generally I want my Fire Emblem to stay more old school Fire Emblem. But thank you for that great question. And let's go ahead and pull this next green. Hopefully we see a Lear or a Ninian soon. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Hybrid Baka. And they ask, do you think we can manage to get another meme unit to win CYL next year, like Veronica, Gatekeeper, or Snake Lady? And if so, who would you like to see winning just for fun? Oh gosh. Well, I'm pretty sure this year we're going to see like an engaged sweep. I could be wrong, but I feel like this year we waited for these characters for such a long time that that's what we'll see. But I think that it's possible maybe after this year that we would see more of those meme units. And it's my personal opinion. I don't like it when it happens because I feel like it takes away a spot from like a quote unquote real character, but I don't get mad about it. So if it happens, fine. There's really not anybody that I want to see win that's a meme. Oh my goodness, that is Deirdre. And my Deirdre is plus 10. But you know what? I like the art, so it's okay. But let's check IVs. And she is plus speed minus defense. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but the art is very nice. And so thank you so much, Hybrid Baka, for that very lucky question. I'm not sure if I finished answering, but basically in summary, I don't love the meme units. There's nobody that I want, but I won't be mad if it happens. But thank you again. And let's go ahead and answer our next one. And this comes from Insert Random Name Here. And they ask, what is your opinion on Solm and its characters? So actually, I think that Solm is the most fun region in the game. I think that the maps are the most fun, the music is the best, and there are a lot of really great characters. I feel like the royal family was a ton of fun. I love Tamara and Fagato. I think their designs are excellent. I think that they are just super fun to interact with, and I also love their mom. I thought she was a great queen. So yes, love the royal family, but I will say that everybody else from the region kind of fell flat for me. I did like Marin, but I didn't really use her all that much. Oh wow, oh my goodness. You know what? Not has a menace, so I will take this. And we get a blessing. Let's check IVs. And she is minus attack, but that is a menace. So we'll back out and we will just keep going with this very lucky question. And I was saying that I did like Marin as a character, but I didn't really use her all that much. And then as for Penette and Pendreo, I've talked about them before. I hate their designs, but in terms of personality, I don't dislike them, and I do plan to use them in a future playthrough, so maybe my opinion will change. And then I feel like I might be leaving someone out. Oh, Brunei! Well, I guess that's my opinion of him. I don't really have one. He kind of fell flat for me too, but aside from them, Royal Family is super fun, most fun maps in the game for me, so overall it is a great region. But thank you for that very lucky question. And let's go ahead and answer our next one, and this one's from Ben LeCoit. And they ask, name your favorite and least favorite alts for all of these characters. Oh my goodness, it's another one. Well, I guess we're gonna have a very strong Robin. And we get a blessing. Let's check this one. And he is plus res again. I will take it. But getting back to this very lucky question, the first character that we have is Ryoma. And I think that my favorite is the dancing one, and my least favorite is the resplendent, like regular one, because he looks like an anemic lobster. I really dislike that art, so I would say that. And then for Azura, I think my favorite is probably the Hitari one. And my least favorite is probably the Resplendent, just because her hands are so tiny and weird looking. And then as for male Corrin, I guess my favorite is probably the Ninja one, and my least favorite is the New Year's. Oh my goodness, wow. Oh my gosh, I guess he really wanted to come home. All right, let's go ahead and check this one. And this one is plus defense. I'll take it. And we will just keep going. Hopefully this is a Lear or a Ninian. But getting back to the lucky question, I think that we had made it to Chrom. And my favorite is probably the Brave one, and my least favorite is probably like the regular OG art. And then for Ephraim, oh gosh, I love them all. But my favorite's probably the Summer one, and honestly, I do not have a least favorite. And then for Erica, I guess I would say my favorite's the Kid one because Ephraim is part of it, and my least favorite is probably the Magic one. And then for Hector, I think that I would say my favorite is Legendary, and my least favorite is probably like the OG art. And then as for Ellawood, I would say my favorite is the Brave one, and my least favorite is the OG art because his eyes are like the stuff of nightmares. And then after that, we have Hilda, and my favorite is the winter art, some of my favorite in the game. And honestly, I do not have a least favorite for her. I just love all of her art. And then lastly, we have Olivia, and my favorite is Flying Olivia, and my least favorite, while I love all Olivia's, probably her OG art is my least favorite. But thank you for that very lucky question. Okay, let's hope this is a Lear or Ninian. I will take either one happily. Smoke. It's Rickon. And I know the smart thing to do would just be to pull one and move on, but when have I ever done the smart thing? We have to take a chance. Okay, this is not a good choice. But who knows, maybe this is like Lucia or something. Okay, never mind. And we end with an Ellawood. Okay, so we're at our 40, so we can back out, and we can go ahead and spark, and of course we're going to take a Lear. Oh my gosh, there's so many to choose from. This is very, very overwhelming. But I'm so glad we're able to do this. Yay! Oh my goodness, I'm so happy we're able to get her to come home. And we get a blessing, and we get the thing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and end things here. I got my Alear and a bunch of Robins, and overall I am happy with how this went. And I know a lot of people are probably saving after spending everything on CYL, but if you pulled on this, I hope you got everything that you were looking for. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.